So, going to talk about Korea today, and I invite you to watch the funny video from the beginning of school here. Um, the Korean Empire of Joseon was hundreds of years old when the Japanese invaded in 1905, and more recently, the shape of Korea or the nature of Korea is affected by the fact that after World War II and after the Japanese were kicked out of Korea, it was divided into North and South. There was a war involving the United States, China, and Russia, and the war is not over. It was settled in a peace agreement that just cuts the country in half and creates a neutral zone here along the 38th parallel. So, not exactly a peace agreement, an armistice agreement would be the right word. Koreans in the South are extremely proud of how well they have recovered from that war and the Japanese occupation. Just a couple of examples. Um, the Japanese left Korea completely deforested, took all of its timber for Japanese economic development, and yet today Korea is reforested itself. It's one of the few countries in the world to be so successful at doing this. Something else that's interesting is the Korean robotics industry. So think about this. Koreans developed their economy starting with the coal mining and iron mining infrastructure that the Japanese left behind, turned that into a huge international business in steel, then turned that into an auto manufacturing business. And now they export the robots that make the cars. So this is kind of the ultimate in economic development, is to move up that food chain and be exporting technology and not just raw materials. So the geography of Korea is united by this mountain chain that stretches the whole length of the peninsula. It's cold in Korea, but doesn't snow very often. This satellite image is taken from an unusually intense snow in 2011. This is another satellite image that just shows the dramatic difference between North and South Korea. So what you see here is Korea at night, and these are the lights of all the cities of South Korea, especially the capital Seoul. And then this is the complete absence of lights that lets you know that probably North Korea is undeveloped from the point of view of electrical lighting. In fact, we don't really know very much about what happens in North Korea at all. Let's see if I can. You can see some mountains here from near the border. This is the capital of Korea, Seoul. At night, it's pretty beautiful. This is the demilitarized zone on the border between North and South Korea. Here you can see soldiers from the US and from South Korea, facing the border. There's hostilities every once in a while here, but for the most part, they just kind of stare at the soldiers from the other side, and it takes a lot of labor to do that. This is the beautiful island of Jeju, which is off the coast, southern coast of Korea. There's amazing rock formations and amazing fishing. Koreans used the Chinese pictographic script for centuries, and the problem with that was that the Korean language is not well expressed that way. So hundreds of years ago, Koreans developed a phonetic language to express the sounds of their language, and that's called Hangul, and you see it here. It's a kind of cool thing where the letter sounds or the sounds of a word are put together in a box so that you end up with a word box composed of several sounds. Pretty cool. Koreans still use Chinese characters for all kinds of things, and in the older generation, especially, many people will have a name that's derived from Chinese. So, for example, one of our students in our class's name is dad's name is Daisun, which is from the Chinese character da, or big. So, still lots and lots of use of Chinese. Also, lots of Japanese words and English words that are used in Korean, like banana, for example. North Korea officially bans all religious expression. South Korea, about half the people in South Korea don't express having a religion, but among the rest, Christianity is pretty popular, a little over 20%, and also Buddhism, about 15%. There is a small population of Jewish and Muslim people in Korea. Here you see a Buddhist temple right next door to a Christian church. This is a Buddhist celebration of a holiday with the lanterns. And up here you see the famous mosque in Seoul in South Korea. Let's see, Korean food you probably know a little bit about. Maybe you've heard of kimchi, which is spicy and fermented cabbage or other vegetables with lots and lots of chili. Super good. This is kimbap, which might remind you of sushi, rolled sushi from Japan, but it's really different in that it has lots of different fillings. And often doesn't have so much fish, but often has meat. This one has Spam, which is how you know that there's a huge military presence of the United States in South Korea. Everywhere the U.S. military goes, people adopt our Spam. This is japchae, which is a really cool kind of noodles that are made out of sweet potato, and it's fried with vegetables. And maybe you've heard of bibimbap, which is rice with egg and meat and various vegetables, kind of like a super cool way of using up all your leftovers. Korean ceramics are pretty famous around the world and have been all different kinds of designs going back way into ancient times, but it's actually a very practical thing. What you see here is ceramic pots being used to ferment kimchi and keep it so you can keep it for quite some time here. And the Korean traditional outfits are called hanbok, and super clean, beautiful lines, really gorgeous outfits. This is the South Korean flag, which is pretty special. In the center here, you see the Taoist symbol, which you might remember some of these things from the I Ching, which we studied in ancient China. The symbol of heaven and earth mixing, of male and female, of chaos and order, and the constant change and constant cycle between the two. And here the trigrams representing the heavens and the earth, representing fire and water. Again, opposites, but partners in a constant changing cycle. And so this is the Taoist philosophy, which is such an old religion, comes out of China, but it's so old and so deep all around Asia that it's more like a worldview than a religion. Sports, super popular in South Korea, and you've probably heard of the martial arts traditions, but probably the most popular sport in South Korea is baseball. I want you to follow this link when you get a chance and learn about cheer culture. Baseball in South Korea is super participatory and super fun. I can't begin to describe the video. You just have to watch it for yourself. Also, you can follow these links to learn a little bit about Korean music. You should check out this traditional instrument. It's like a piano, guitar, violin all in one beautiful thing that does amazing sounds. And of course, K-pop. I invite you to try to tell me the difference between K-pop and J-pop. That's a challenge for you. This is a performance in Grand Central Station by the famous band BTS, which just happened just recently. Their world tour was canceled because of the coronavirus. So just a little bit about Korean history again. The Japanese invasion was characterized by the Japanese in 1905 as a rescue or an assistance to Korea, trying to help them develop economically. On the other hand, Koreans were immediately and continuously and strongly in resistance to the Japanese occupation the entire time. On one of the key moments in the resistance to the Japanese occupation happened on March 1st in 1919. Koreans published a Declaration of Independence, And the movement that grows out of that is called the Samil movement, which represents 3-1 or March 1st in Korean. The Japanese responded to the Declaration of Independence and the protests that came with it by shutting down protests. This is Japanese soldiers blocking the entrance to a park in Seoul to prevent people from demonstrating there, and by brutalizing the leaders of the resistance movement. This is a Korean house that was burned down by the Japanese to punish the owners for supporting the independence movement. So I wanted you to read a little bit about the Korean perspective on the Japanese occupation, and I've assigned you a reading about this young woman, Yu Guan-sun, and her work with the May 1st resistance movement. I think you'll enjoy it. So finishing up, there's your emoji. Get you started on this week's puzzle, and I will talk to you all at office hours.